Ladies and gentlemen, RDG Ricky here, coming to you once again. This time we're going to talk some Buffalo Bills football. Now, I'm sure you guys are thinking, man, the Super Bowl was just played. Why are we talking football already? On the baseball, yeah, on the baseball. But you know what? Football is one of those sports that's heavily covered in the season, off the season, in between, all that. Football never dies and never dies at all. It keeps going. You know, so we're in the phase now where people are losing their jobs. There's rumors, chit-chat going around of different players. Listen, man, football, it's always football season. It never dies, bruh. So I'm going to talk today about here in this video, we're going to talk about, there's reportedly by Adam Schefter saying that the Buffalo Bills will be hosting a visit with tight end Greg Olson. He will also be visiting with the Washington Redskins and also the Seattle Seahawks. Now, I did see that as soon as Greg Olson and the Carolina Panthers parted ways, they apparently mutually agreed to part ways, even though there's reports that saying that he would have liked to stay. But you know what? I think the franchise is just hitting a complete reset, and Cam Newton is probably no longer going to be there. I'd assume they're probably going to go after a quarterback. So I saw a lot of, especially from Bills fans, it was mixed bag. You know, some of the guys that cover the team closely, you know, he's a little bit older. Okay, so what? You know what? I see a prime, here's my opinion, I see a prime opportunity here. Greg Olson, we all know, Greg Olson is he should be a very serviceable guy, even though he's been injury prone the last 2-3 years. We all know the career Greg Olson has had to this point. Greg Olson, he is a guy that he demands attention from your defensive backs, from the opposing defensive backs. You know, it's a guy that's proven hands, the guy with proven production, and proven production that Buffalo has not seen in quite some time. It has been a while since Buffalo has seen that. Now, Greg Olson, he is a guy, there's obvious ties here which would tie everything together, would make complete sense for the Buffalo Bills. Sean McDermott. You know, he was there when Sean McDermott was the defensive coordinator for the Carolina Panthers. Makes sense. Brandon Beane, they're all familiar. We all know this Buffalo Bills regime, McBean they call it, McDermott and Beane together. They like to rely on their past and what they know and surround themselves with familiarity, people they're familiar with. So, with that being said, this is a guy they're familiar with, they've seen, they know what he's like, and I know there's been quoted before, Sean McDermott, he would love to have a guy like that, and I think it was quoted exactly like this. Sean McDermott said, I loved having Greg Olson on my team because I knew if it was a third and 5, I knew we were going to get the first down because we had him. This is the type of weapon that you need for a developing quarterback. Now, I am of the belief that Josh Allen can turn into something special. I think he's already been pretty special. I feel like he has developed pretty decently, maybe not to on par what everybody believes he should be, but I think he's around on schedule. I believe Josh Allen will have a breakout year, but we'll talk more. Plenty of offseason to talk about that. But this is a weapon that you want for a young quarterback. Someone that can get you those gritty yards. Someone that can block still, you know, and someone that you can pair with your young rookie Dawson Knox. Now, this regime is also big on mentorship. They like having older guys with experience in the league, in the locker room. You had that with Frank Gore and Devin Singletary. Early on in the season, obviously Singletary got hurt, but early on in the season, you saw Frank Gore get more carries. That diminished as it went along, but Frank Gore served as that mentor leadership role for Devin Singletary, and maybe you can say he helped him out, gave him pointers, and helped develop his game somewhat in his rookie campaign. Greg Olson can provide the same effect. Dawson Knox had a pretty good rookie campaign. I still think he needs to be a little more productive. I think he needs to be. He had a lot of production left that he left on the field from drops. He's got to come up with these catches. He seemed to make the more contested ones and drop the ones he probably should have had in his breadbasket. So all in all, I think Greg Olson would be a great, tremendous upgrade. Now you may think, oh, this may take away snaps from the rookie. But you know what? It may not, because the Bills did like to use quite often 2 tight end sets. You can use them in there. You can sprinkle them in and out. And I just think it'd be a great overall weapon with experience in the passing game. Because there's not a shit ton of experience in the Bills as far as their weapons in the passing game. They're still relatively young. And they're still missing, I believe, that number one weapon. And I know you can say, hey, they come in various shapes and sizes. I love John Brown. I think he's a solid number 2, almost an elite number 2 receiver. In conclusion, though, Greg Olson still has meetings with the Redskins and the Seahawks. I guess it all depends on what he wants to do at this point in his career. Most guys at this point, they want a chance to win a chip. So if Greg Olson wants that opportunity to win a chip, I'm not saying the Bills are on the rise, and I just don't. They're not there yet. They're not championship caliber just yet. In my opinion, the outside looking in, we still got to see what they're going to do, and we still got to see of the development of Josh Allen and where that takes the Bills. But if you want to win now and you want to be in the playoffs for sure, and you want a chance for a championship, you know what? I really do see him possibly signing with the Seattle Seahawks. I really do. You got Russell Wilson there. You got a proven quarterback. You got a team that's constantly gonna, contend to be there every year. Greg Olson seems like a great fit here in Buffalo. I would love to see him sign. And this is a guy that you want to sign. And if you're so worried about the injury history, which you should be, I mean, you should throw up red flags. But this is a guy where you should, $10 million probably at the most for 2 years. You don't have to guarantee very much money. And you should be very, in my opinion, very heavily incentive-based. Make the guy earn his money. It's simple. If you're that worried about paying a guy to sit on the bench or to be an IR, then make sure it's heavily incentive-based. You give him a decent sign-on bonus. That way it doesn't hit too much towards the cap. And you go ahead and you make sure it's very incentive-based, make him earn his pay. I think it's that simple. And I think it's also a no-brainer for the Buffalo. If it makes sense contractually, I think it makes sense for them to sign Greg Olson. Make it happen, Buffalo. Thank you, guys. Peace. Subscribe. Do me that favor. Like. Let me know what you think. See y'all.